As I think about the word pilgrimage, it just makes me stop and think about refocusing, about thinking about the journey, thinking about staying the course, and using the time of pilgrimage to do some introspection and reflection about where is my life? Where is my life with God? And where is my life in the service of others? I think Lent by itself challenges us to pause and think about the need for change and transformation. And I like it being attached to pilgrimage because pilgrimage implies a dynamic journey. It's not something stagnant. And I think because Lent always falls at a time of year when we're moving and forming in directions, especially as a college community, it's a further challenge in the midst of the chaos, classes, preparing, doing this and doing that. We're being asked as a faith tradition to stop, slow down, take some time to look at the things that are most important. But equally as important, take some time to look at some of those things that maybe need to be fine-tuned, changed, or even transformed. I think probably what I would encourage, especially students who have a very chaotic life, that I would encourage them to think about how could they every day, even if it's just a few moments, just stop in the midst of the noise and try to hear God's voice and pray for the eyes to see and the ears to hear.
To be completely truthful, this is probably one of the toughest concepts for me during Lent because all year I really try to be a giving person. And the concept of being a good neighbor and love thy neighbor as thyself is very important to me and very real to me. And I grew up in an environment watching my parents always being giving, of everything, their time, their talent, their treasure, and we didn't have a lot by any means. The almsgiving is multifaceted. I'd like to use a quote from Mother Teresa where she said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And my grandmother used to always say, charity begins at home. And I really tried to start my Lenten journey with that. How am I treating the people that I know and love that I see on a daily basis? And how, in making positive changes in that environment with my family and friends and neighbors, can I then take that to the next level where I can give to others? I think in terms of Lent and giving, we need to switch the lens a little bit and really see how much we're receiving so that we can turn our prayer into an expression of thanks and in turn do more for others, like paying it forward.
I've looked as fasting, and I'm remembering what Father Frank said during Ash Wednesday, and I know Pope Francis said this, that fasting doesn't always have to necessarily mean fasting food, but can also mean fasting other things. I feel like we need to put ourselves, for even if it's a short period of time, in the feet of Jesus. He did spend 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. During those 40 days, he was tempted by the devil. And I feel like during Lent is when we are tempted the most. I'm a catechist, and I've always talked to my students about what Lent is. And as I teach them, I'm also learning myself. When I was 16, I didn't know what the real meaning of Lent. I just did it because I was supposed to do it. I was supposed to not eat meat on Fridays. But as I've matured, as I've grown in my faith, I've noticed that Lent is something different, something more special. Well, fasting, I always find when I fast that brings you a little closer to your own faith, to your own religion, and to Jesus and God in general. when you fast, you're not doing it just for your own, maybe, oh, I'm gonna fast just because everybody else is doing it. You have to do it, it's your own personal choice. It has to be done because you want to do it, because you want to get that closeness, you want to get that connection with Jesus and with God and with what Lent is in general. By fasting, I'm taking an active part in it. I become more of a connection with what it means, what it is, and my Catholic faith.
Prayer is the breath of the soul. I like that description of prayer. It's breath is the way we live, and I think prayer is also essential to our inner life. The way air is necessary for our bodies to survive, I think prayer is absolutely essential for our inner life. I think it's an easy temptation to act as if, even though we might not say it per se, but to act as if we are our own gods, like I am God. And prayer is the reminder that I am not God, that I am not, in other words, the center of my own life, that there is something larger that my life is a part of, and prayer is the experience that connects me to that larger reality. I love the band U2, you know that, Chris. And in their song Mysterious Ways, there's a line that Bono sings: if you want to kiss the sky, you have to learn to kneel. And prayer is our recognition that we are part of that greater reality, and prayer is the way we connect with that larger reality. It's really interesting. I don't know if Bono realized it, but probably he did, because he's a pretty smart dude, that there's a line in Hamlet where King Claudius says, "Bend stubborn knees." And sometimes our knees are stubborn, because to bend our knees to the ground is to acknowledge that there is something larger than ourselves. For me, prayer is finding the time to listen, finding the time to be grateful. I once heard this description, and I really like it. It says there are a couple of ways to pray. That when we pray, we can say, "Give me," which is the way that many times we pray. It's our default prayer, asking God for something, whether it be to do well on a test or do well on a course or to get a job. Give me prayer. But there are other kinds of prayer that are just as important. The prayer of thank you, to live in a sense of gratitude for what is and for what we have. It is a glorious destiny to be a member of the human race. God himself gloried in becoming a member of the human race. If only everybody could realize this, but it cannot be explained. There is no way of telling people that they are walking around shining like the sun. It's prayer that helps us to realize that we are walking around shining like the sun, but that everyone else is walking around shining like the sun as well. I love that message, and I just wish all of us, as we walk through the halls of St. Joseph's during Lent, could recognize that we are walking around shining like the sun.